Welcome to the final video for Introduction to Digital Humanities. This week, we're going to take a moment to reflect on the future. We're going to think about what's in store for the discipline. And we're going to think about also about your own personal futures, like what's in store for you with your projects and your future career at the university. So what you have for reading this week is Miriam Posner's article on the debates for digital humanities. And there's two things I want to point out to you about that article. There's so much going on with it, but there's two things I want you to take away with her vision of the future. One, she argues that we need to, in digital humanities, have more expertise in things like critical race studies and to interrogate how power structures operate, especially in regard to race and gender. That's one. It's very important. We'll return to that later. Two, she offers this idea in her vision of the future where by interrogating those power structures, that doesn't just mean interrogating the data once I have it and saying, okay, I'm going to look at this literature. Maybe I'll look at Jane Austen novels and say, I'm going to use queer theory to understand what's happening in there. I'm going to use gender studies to understand what's happening there. No, it's different than just that. That can be part of it too, as we're learning these different theories that Posner's calling us to take on. It can also mean looking at how are data structures done. How is Voyant structured to give information to me? If I have a data set from a third party, what assumptions do the people compile the data set have already in place that's going to affect the way I use that data? And that boils it down to a hermeneutic question. That's hermeneutics means interpretation. So remember we talked about data storytelling, that all data structuring, put into a CSV file, put into Excel file, making it into rows and columns, that is an interpretive decision, a storytelling decision, a narrative decision that you are making as a researcher. And when you inherit data from others, third parties, other researchers, other scientists, those decisions have been made, and Posner's calling us to interrogate those decisions too, and also to interrogate the interfaces we use. That's why she gives that example of interface that doesn't do what students want it to do, because that gives way to say, well, what does the interface do? How does the interface foreclose my ways of knowing and understanding? And now you might be thinking, okay, you're saying we're looking at the future, but you're making us read something from 2016. And that would be a good observation. Yes, your reading for this week is from 2016, the Debates in Digital Humanities 2016. Well, there's a new one in 2023. So why don't we think about how does that measure up to Posner's call? So remember, the first point I made about Posner is that her call is to interrogate power structures through thinking through how they operate with race and gender, and a call for digital humanists to adopt things like critical race theory. In the 2023 Debates in Digital Humanities that was recently dropped, same editors, Lauren Klein, who you've read before, and Matthew Gold, that's what's happening. There's applications of critical race theory. For instance, there's an article on how to apply indigenous ways of knowing, indigenous epistemologies to the concerns about generative artificial intelligence, and thinking through how indigenous ways of knowing and protocols do not center the human person, but put the human person in a network of relations with the natural world. And so, in many ways, the call in 2016 by Posner was prescient. It actually was answered throughout the intervening years to 2023 with a recent Debates in Digital Humanities. And so, what I want you to take from maybe this class in general and from the particular reading this week is that that's a very important insight. That, remember I said earlier, in many ways, digital humanities as a discipline isn't just a methods discipline, not just applying computational methods to humanities concerns. That's part of it. But at its core, I'm following Lisa Spiro, who says that it's a discipline that has values embedded in it. Remember, we have openness, experimentation, equity, and things like that. And so that can be very essential for anything that's influenced by technology, because technology will keep changing. And so what I would like you to think about is, what are your values? Remember your value statement from the beginning of the term. What are your values? What sort of ethical theory do you ascribe to? You practiced feminist data ethics, you practice feminist care ethics in this class, but there are different ones. There's deontology, there's virtue ethics. So think about What do you think is the way to care about the other person and to support the common good? And then those values can be a way to do DH research because the technology will keep changing. There are some technologies that you've used that have been used in previous DH classes, and some like your generative artificial intelligence, where you're thinking about the dilemmas in AI that are new. And so if you ground yourself in principles like Posner's grounding herself in principles, she's grounded herself in principles of equity. And then her call for bringing critical race studies is then answered years later in 2023 as there are articles on anti-racist pedagogies, anti-racist views of DH. So think about, what are your core values? What are your principles? Articulate them, actually write them down, say them. And then when new technology comes, because there will be new technology, there will probably be other ways that we'll be surprised if we were with ChatGPT and things like that. You have these financial principles of what you think is a way to promote the good, and then you'll be able to act according to that. And now, as part of what we're doing is that we're calling for you to think through, what's the future hold? What should we do in DH in the future? And that's what you're going to be doing in your reflection for this week. You might be asking, hey, you've only been talking to me about this for about a few weeks. This is my first introduction to it. This is called Introduction to Digital Humanities. Why are you asking me what I think the future is? Because you have an important insight about it. So I used to be a business researcher. I worked on public sector innovation. And in innovation research, something that we've noticed is that there comes a time as you gain expertise, it can become harder to innovate. And the novice will have insights that help this cross-functional team that's working on trying to innovate. And so that's an important role you have where you're new to the field, but you are in the field. You've been working in it. You're about to do a project on it. So think about what you think the future holds, where you see gaps that people like me who are already in the field might be blind to. And thank you for this time together. I love seeing the different research ideas you're bringing in and look forward to your final projects.